more fucking around. It's Wild Style Radio. Wild Style Radio.
Stand up and shout.
What is up? It is Wednesday night.
It is Wednesday night,
And we are live from the Salisbury Center Studios in Manassas, Virginia. This is the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show coming to you on the Wild Style Network. Kev Wisk.
Yes, sir.
What's up, man?
There's a good point about, when was the last time we did a Wednesday?
It's been a long time.
I know,
because we used to do Wednesdays, and then we flipped it. What would have been like in April, I think?
Yeah. So, like, I guess in the year-end wrap-up, because we're going to talk about 2024 today and everything that was great in 2024.
It was a great year.
A great year with Thursday night was a big part of that. But now we're wrapping it up and bringing it back to Wednesday.
Back to Wednesdays, and it's
Excellent.
wrapping up year number 2.
Sure.
Maybe one more show.
I know, isn't that crazy? Like, 2 years this.
Yep.
Congratulations, friend.
Same.
Yes, absolutely. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely fun. And we want to thank our guy, Jeff Salisbury, for asking us to do this show.
Lou.
And Big Lou, who's not here, he's traveling for this episode.
Yeah.
So
we'll miss him on this one because he usually likes to chime in on this shit.
yep. And
Maybe I'll see if I can call him, bring him in.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
call me.
Yeah.
So what's new?
Well, man, I think we're just you're representing tonight. I think that's what's new. I think you have anything. If you're stumped still, 'tis the season
It is. We're in the midst of shopping season.
for a holiday gift, but doesn't have to be a holiday gift. Could be an anytime gift.
Anytime gift. Yeah.
Stand up and shout rock show swag. As we're wearing some new stand up and shout
Yes. Thank you.
rock show swag for
Thank
the
you
winter.
for the swag.
Yeah, hell yeah.
You
A
need
little
it right
holiday
now.
treat. John, the producer's got his beanie on. You can't see him.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a yarmulke on me, so I'll take that. It fits my big noggin. So thank you guys. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to everybody.
Same. Yeah.
When there's no shows in here, it can get a little chilly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So a little warmth helps.
It's either scalding hot or
Yes.
freezing cold.
Yeah.
No in between.
You wear for the weather when there's nobody in the Salisbury Center. If it's cold outside, it's cold inside. If it's hot outside, it's hot inside.
Yep.
Which I don't mind that so much. You know what to expect anywhere you go.
I should have went with the winter sleeves. I usually do, like you're doing tonight, and have
Yeah.
the undershirt.
I knew on a Wednesday this was not going to be a hot night in here tonight.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
No pits.
Quickly we forget. So like big news, right? AC/DC announced their tour.
Yeah, man.
Very cool.
You have seen AC/DC.
I have. Yes.
With Cinderella, right?
Oh God. I
feel
don't
like
even remember.
That was down. That was like late, very late. I'd say 89, 90.
Yeah. Definitely.
I feel like it was a Cinderella opener.
What was that? The Thunderstruck album.
Yep.
I'm blanking on the name of it right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't even remember who opened that show.
Yeah.
Might have been Cinderella. But yeah, the only time I've seen him, you haven't seen him.
I didn't. I was too poor. I couldn't afford the ticket at the time. That's why I did not make it there.
I was trying. We were talking about that with someone today. And
I'm going to tell you a
I
story
couldn't
about
remember.
that because that was the time you all dogged me. Well, you did this several times. It wasn't the one time that you did it because you took my car because we were down at Virginia Tech and I had my car and like you and Damon and the girl Wyvana that Damon was dating at the time. I can't remember if somebody else went with you all like on top of that, but I had my change tray and you all didn't have any money for gas. And you burned out on my change tray.
well, that was because you gave it to us to drive home. So we drove from Blacksburg to Manassas.
Oh, really? It was all
Yep.
that way?
It was that. It was like that. Oh, so it would have probably been.
I thought it was in Roanoke.
Well, the show was in Roanoke.
Yeah.
But we went home that weekend.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Because it was. So it must have been early,
Yeah.
88 maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
And
yeah, you're right.
We went home for homecoming.
Uh-huh.
The only time we ever did that. And then we came back. So we got to figure out what the top end of the Cobra was. Coming back. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, some things that we did
Yeah.
that if our kids did that now,
Right,
we'd
right.
be like, what the hell are you thinking?
Well, because it burned me because that was back in the days before you had the Fast Pass,
Oh, yeah.
So like that's why I had the change tray was for the tolls because you had to pay cash in the tolls. I don't know what the option was. I never blew a toll. I don't know. I guess maybe we did blow tolls and you just blew them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they used to have the arm.
Right.
So,
and then
yeah.
that little like kind of looked like a toilet, you know,
Yep.
that was like you threw the change down in. So that's
Right.
why I had, and I think I hit a toll, or I was going to hit a toll, and then thank God, like I realized it, and then I rerouted to avoid the toll.
I'll have Damon Venmo you.
The sons of bitches took my change, man. They took all the change, like to gas up the car, and the show I didn't go to.
Right. Yeah.
I've been paying for it ever since.
And it was a great show.
I'll bet.
And yeah, shocked that, we haven't seen them at least another time in all these
know.
years. And happy that, Brian Johnson's back with the band and the Pretty Reckless is the opening act.
I love that.
So
I love it.
it's a great show.
It's a great lineup.
Only 13 dates in the U.S. too. So
I did have tickets for when they were going to play Capital One Arena when it was Verizon Center, 2017, 2018. And I had nice box seats for that. And that was when Brian Johnson had the ear and hearing failure.
Right.
And then there was the controversy in the band as to whether he was kicked out or whether he quit. It was very Motley Crue-esque, right?
Right.
Like what had happened and all of that. And either way, the show was canceled and my tickets were refunded.
and
That
then they
sucked.
never rescheduled it because then Axel came and did some shows with them.
Yes. And
But,
neither
yeah.
you and I saw Axel DC.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would have been not fun.
I know. No.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, looking forward to that. And May looking kind of, I know we're going to look back on 2024, but
Yeah.
for 2025, our calendar in May is getting jam packed.
I know. No. Like as we're lining up 2025 shows, they all seem to be landing in that spot
In
for some
May.
reason.
I
Yeah.
don't know what M3 is going to do.
I know.
'cause,
Yeah. I
you
know.
that's right in there too. But
Yeah.
I think if I remember the date correctly, I think the AC/DC show is like 1 or 2 days before we go down to Blacksburg
Yeah.
for Metallica.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Taking the week off.
And then a second Metallica show later that month, plus the Sestana tour.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, May 2025 is looking good.
We will have a lot of material. We have a lot to talk about in the summer.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Very cool.
All right. Anything else?
I think we should get at it, man.
All
Because
right.
this is a big conversation. It's a lot of fun. It's the 2024 superlatives or the stand up and shout recognition for everything that was great in 2024.
Yep.
We wrapped up our year with this last year, and it's a great way to wrap up this second year of the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show.
Yeah. And we've got some great artwork as we give out these awards.
Cool.
So yeah, let's
All
get
right.
rolling.
John's gonna line it up. So our first
Well,
first set.
Let's
of
go back
nominees.
to the title slide because I'm so excited that high school classmate Brian Thacker made it into the slide presentation, or Guy Fieri, one of the two. But yeah,
And it's a party. It fits the new year.
that's right. We're prepping for the new year, looking back on the previous year.
Celebration.
Yep.
All right. So cheers. Cheers to everybody. Cheers to the nominees, let alone the award winners.
Correct.
All right. All right. Let's get at it. So we're
Category
starting
number
off-
one.
We start internally within our own podcast here. And of course, we do a lot of games.
Yep.
And we've added, games when we can. We've had some old traditional favorites that we've done over the 2 years that we've been doing this together. And these are our nominees for the game conversations that drive some of the conversations that we have on great rock topics.
Yep.
So the nominees are
Would You Rather, the General Admission Edition from the February 26th show.
So that was, I'll just say, I'm going to kind of interject. That was kind of hard because that Would You Rather General Admission Edition, we played with a lot of bands.
Yes.
So it's all about either the joys or the hell of general admission.
Right.
And would you rather take this situation or that situation?
Yep. And getting the perspective of all of our friends that, have dealt with those situations.
A lot of bands. I think we actually interviewed 3 bands that night in that general admission edition on February 26th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then second is Bottoms Up 1984 edition. So looking back at all of the rock albums, our favorite or our top 10 favorite rock albums from 1984.
In order from top to bottom, and we were not the only ones that talked about this. There were several bands that had conversation about their favorite from 1984.
Yep.
1984, a monumental year in rock and roll.
Absolutely. Then number 3, Before They Were Rock Stars,
Yeah.
September 5th. That was a great show.
Yes. So we had, the multiple choice guesses of what they did because people actually had, I want to say real jobs because being a rock star is a real job, but maybe unwanted jobs before they were doing the thing they love so much. Yep. And the Evics were in.
That's right. The Gavin Evic band was here, and
Pete joined in. Too.
So that was fun. Mm-hmm. And then in the same theme of the 1984 Bottoms Up, we did the same for 1994. So looking back 30 years ago on October the 16th.
Fantastic year in rock and roll, 1994.
Quite a bit of difference between
the style
84 and 94. Yep.
Sure.
Styles changed. And then the last one from one of the recent episodes, what are the odds for 2025?
If we're making predictions into the New Year's, what is the odds that these changes will happen?
Yep.
We still don't know. Time will tell. We could be talking about it this time next year.
Could be.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. Those are great nominees. Kevin gave out those dates. By the way, those dates all match dates on our YouTube publications specifically.
So,
and in our any type of RSS feeds and publications when the shows actually came out. So if you want to look up the shows after we talk about them, you can look them up by date. So those dates are important. But with that being said, the winner is
Bottoms Up, 1994
Bottoms
edition.
Up 1994. So all of those great rock albums. We had a lot of good, I feel like, healthy dialogues. We had 2 different lists.
We did.
For Bottoms Up 1994.
Yep.
Yeah. And a lot of stylistic differences, a lot of style and change in rock and roll in the year 1994.
Yes, there was quite the bit of change.
All right. Excellent. So that's the October 16th show to remind you, and we'll get to our next category. Again, about the podcast, things that are happening in the podcast. Left Field Podcast Moment of the Year. So there might be something that we set up that we know that we're going to talk about, but then there's things that we don't. And so they're coming from left field, and these are unexpected moments, 4 of those moments that are here for our nominees. So you want me to read these off?
Sure.
All right. So our first nominee is Closing the Show with Beggars on February 18th.
Yep. That was great. That was one of the metal nights. I think it was maybe a Friday night metal night.
Yeah.
But yeah, we interviewed a couple of the bands, and the guys in Beggars weren't, I don't want to say weren't interested, but it was either.
They were, I don't know if it's stage nerves before the show.
Yeah.
They were not into podcasting before the show.
No.
No.
They were not interested. They were,
We thought they were going home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think they saw some of the other bands because, when there are events here at the Salisbury Center and we're interviewing the bands, shows down in the bar area.
Yeah.
And so when they finished their set, they're like, can we come on the show?
Yeah.
So, and it was a great conversation.
They're all bartenders in their day jobs.
Yep.
Rock stars at night, bartenders by day, I guess, so to speak. Maybe by night and then later night that they're rock stars. I don't know. But they were here. We were the last thing that happened in the Salisbury Center. Everything cleared out. All the bands cleared out. Everything was happening. And we were still up in a podcast conversation with those guys. And they are super, super fun guys.
Yep.
I remember that one now. I was trying to figure out which one you were talking about, and then as soon as you brought up the bartenders,
Yes.
Is that the one about the trash can?
Yes.
Yes. Great,
exactly.
great podcast.
Yes.
Great interview.
Yeah, they were a fun bunch of guys out of Richmond, Beggars out of Richmond. So if you want to look that one back up, that's February 18th. Our next nominee for Left Field Podcast Moment of the Year is Evics. So that would be the Gavin Evic Band and Pete Evics crashing the Before They Were Rock Stars episode. We were talking about that in the last category on September 5th. So I can tell my story in this. And I was driving down the road, trying to get here, trying to make it on time. And I get a text from Kevin because we were set up to have that conversation and play it between us.
Yep.
And he was like, are you on the way? And I'm like, I'm almost there, which you hardly ever do. And I wasn't really late, so I wasn't sure why. And he was like, I got a surprise for you. And I was like, okay. And I figured I was going to get like a shirt or something. You know what I mean? I thought you picked up something like that. And I walked in and there was a whole load of people in the podcast studio and
waiting on you to get here.
And we were all changing the course of what we did, but it made that so much fun.
Yeah, it was a blast.
Yeah, it made that
always fun to have to do a left turn on the fly.
Right. Yes. All right, next nominee, Dirty Honey Bets the Ponies on October 13th. It was published on October 13th, but Kevin and I happened to be at the Dirty Honey show at Charlestown Races and Slots, And I'm a big horse race guy, so I wanted to get some horse races in before that show happened. And lo and behold, Kevin looks up and you say,
That's John Nato and Justin Somalia of Dirty Honey. And they walked right past us. We're like, cool.
Right. Making horse bets.
Yep.
We caught him on the track and got a great reel out of it. So it wasn't a full podcast interview, but it was a definitely left field moment, in our world.
Yeah, the reel's out there, so you can catch it on. Do we have it on TikTok?
We have it on TikTok. We have it, all the socials, all where we're socials. So yes. And then the final nominee is Wayne's World meets the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show on October 31st. The key date in that one being October 31st, Halloween night, and Wayne and Garth showed up to run that show, and that was super fun.
It was so nice of them to show up.
Exactly. All right, those are the 4 nominees, and the winner is...
Of course.
Wait a minute, John, there was no sound effect. I did a point. Wait a minute.
I thought the sound effect was messing you guys up, so I didn't want to.
I liked it. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, let's do it again.
No, all right. Come on now. I sing in a band. I'm used to the music being behind me. It's all good. All right, and the winner is...
Dirty Honey bets the ponies.
Dirty Honey bets the... Have we ever tried to create that in a million years?
No way.
Right? The right moment at the right time, and it was just an amazing like little clip of life that happened.
It was cool because, I mean, obviously, the guys were so cool, so very down to earth. Most people, I think, if you approached them kind of the way we did, and they'd be like,
Right.
But they were receptive to doing a quick little shout out for the show, and it turned into a much longer conversation than I thought it was going to be.
We were talking about like a lot of horse betting with them is what we were kind of talking about. And then we saw him after the show in the casino. So that was a good night. Good times. So thanks, Justin and John, for that great reel. All right, next category is...
Best interview reveal of the year.
All right, so not a spontaneous interview, but while we were interviewing, when we were hearing something that we weren't expecting to hear, that's the reveal. And we have 4 nominees for this category.
Yep, where Scott, the producer, breaks 2 feet.
Yeah, Scott's here tonight, and he's thankfully running around somewhere. But on January 26th of last year, John started producing our show, and of course we knew John because he's in and out of producing the show for the year prior, and then also doing sound here at the Salisbury Center. And we look up and we hear that Scott has 2 broken feet, and that was going to be it. And we've been blessed with John ever since.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Blessed or stuck? Yeah, I was gonna
blessed. Absolutely blessed. You took your beanie off. Was it too tight?
Yeah, I just shaved, so it was a little scratchy.
I gotcha.
Second nominee, Shane of Beggars, reveals during the discussion about the general admission, would you rather, that he pisses in the Fillmore trash can at a show.
Yeah, there you go,
and it was all in and around. We were talking about general admission and, being so crowded that you can't move around.
Yeah.
You can't get back to the bar. You can't get to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And he kind of let us know that he kind of positions near the bar because then he can just...
A large, wide trash can.
Do his business in the trash can.
Out in the open. And he just whipped it out and got the deed done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Points for ingenuity.
Uh-huh. Yeah. All right.
I mean, do you think he pulled it out and over top the shorts, or did he pull the shorts to the side and kind of I want to understand how he went about it.
I'm gonna guess it's jeans. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna
even
say
harder.
It's worse. Exactly. I'm
even
say
harder.
Because if he was at a metal show, I'm gonna say he's in jeans. Yeah. I think he just revealed.
Maybe he just wears Depends.
That's another strategy. That's another take on it. Yeah.
Nominee number 3, Logan from the Gavin Evick Band asks,
Logan Blake,
who is Motorhead?
Hey, that was a great moment. That was a mic drop moment, not only with us, but with everybody in the Gavin Evick Band and Pete Evick.
It really took that question to a whole new level.
Right.
And I think it's had legs ever since.
The drummer from Faster Pussycat got a call from Pete and was like, hey, by the way, Logan doesn't know who Motorhead is. Poor Logan.
Yeah.
We love you, Logan. But we had to bring it up one more time. We really we let it go. We could have rode that a lot harder.
Well, it could be the winner, and then maybe we'll have to post the reel.
Yeah. Yep.
Nominee number 4, John Notto and Justin Somalian's first horse bet.
Yeah, I think that's the big reveals. That was their first ever horse bet. They'd
Yes.
never bet the ponies before.
And that they had an inside tip,
Right. Yep.
which helped them win.
Absolutely. Yeah, they did. They had a tip from the cab driver.
Yep.
Yeah. October 13th was the date of that reel again.
Yep.
All right. So the winner is
Shane of Beggars pisses in the Fillmore trash can.
How brave. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's a bartender and maybe he's not going to get like in too much work heat for revealing that like we're a global show, like there's no limitations on where the show can reach. And he was just very comfortable having that conversation. So,
I mean,
God bless
those
you,
shows
Shane.
are crowded, right? Most of them.
Mm-hmm.
But to full on do that, you have to figure somebody's going to see it.
Right.
And in this day and age, somebody's going to have their feelings hurt. And
Right. I wouldn't have admitted it. I have to say that. Now I know that we're post show. They may have had some beverages in them post show, but I don't think I would have admitted it.
hopefully they didn't do it here.
So many questions. What kind of trash can? Was it one of the big circle ones? Because they're like waist high. Is it a bar style trash can? Those are easier.
No, I think it was the big circle one. If I remember and know the Fillmore like I do, they always have this big circle ones out.
We're going to have them back on the show the next time they're here.
I just imagine the poor person that took the trash out, seals it
Yeah.
up, throws it over his shoulder, and
Yeah.
it busts, and it's all down the back of his shirt.
Yeah. I know. All right.
All right.
And a little more of a serious note. The next is a little more serious category, which is the full interview, our stand up and shout show. Do you like our SUAS in the acronym?
SUAS.
Yes, exactly. SUAS, interview of the year, stand up and shout show, interview of the year. So our nominees these are great conversations. We're very blessed
awesome
to have like these great conversations with a lot of great bands. We have Robin Jami from Spread Eagle on March 1st.
Yep.
Spread Eagle, just a great band.
That was the Zoom interview.
That was a Zoom
because we
interview.
got to interview Ray and
Rick.
when they were here for the
Yes.
show.
Yeah.
So both of those great, absolutely fascinating, great conversations with all 4 of those guys.
Sure. Love Spread Eagle. Pete Evick, who is always a great interview. It's hard for him not to be interviewed or nominated, and it's almost like which one do we nominate because he's Pete.
He's Pete. Yeah, he was on our very first show, and I think this was he was briefly on the 3rd or 4th show when he was here doing his New Year's Eve after New Year's Bash.
Yeah.
That same first year of the show. And I think this was the first time we were able to get him back on the show after those 2 events.
That, and he was also leading into M3.
Yes.
Yeah, so he was here to talk about the M3 Rock Festival with us on April 18th. So always a great conversation. You always learn a lot every time you talk to Pete.
Absolutely.
Fantastic interview. So the next is a 3-way interview, which is, kind of like this was all 3 bands talking at once. So it wasn't 3 bands that segmented as we usually do through the night. We had on a metal night on May 25th. And I believe that was Sunday of Memorial Day. Was the Sunday metal
I think
night.
that's right.
We had 3 local bands that we love. And that is, we see the boss is calling. John just held up the sign. We have Cursor, the Knuckleheads, and Age of Ruin on May 25th. It was a great Memorial Day show. And I would recommend seeing any of these bands at any given point. And just, I don't know if you want to add to that. But great conversation.
that was a fun interview, a crowded room. But, we've interviewed all the guys in all 3 of these bands a couple of times. Age of Ruin, several more than that. And it's always a great conversation. So,
Our regulars.
Regulars, yep.
Yeah. All right. We were patching the boss in for a specific reason? Did he?
Well, we talked about including him in some of these earlier, so I had sent him
yeah.
this one and the next one so you can chime in on.
All right. I like it. All right. And we're going down the list. We have 5 nominees for this one because we have a lot of interviews and it's hard to narrow them down. Another great interview was with Nick Perret and Jimmy Chalfant of Kix on June 20th. And Nick was releasing some new music.
Yep.
I think that Jimmy had supported him on some of those songs.
Some of the songs, yep.
And so he was talking about that release, and we interviewed again virtually for that one.
Yep.
And,
That was a great surprise to have Jimmy join us for that.
and if I always mess, I feel like I'm saying it's Nick. Is it Pari?
Paré, yep.
Yes. So if I said Pare wrong, I'm sorry about that, Nick. I apologize. And then our final nominee is John Durance of Shock Mafia on July 26th. Another one that, was able to zoom in with us and talk about his upcoming show at the Jam in Java.
Yep.
Which is another fantastic show. So those are our 5 nominees, and the winner is
Rob and Jami of Spread Eagle from March the 1st.
I learned a lot about Spread Eagle.
Yep.
In that interview and they've been around for a little while.
They have.
That I never heard before. And I really liked I specifically took away from that, like their approach on the East Coast street metal, like as their, bend, twist, and theme towards all the music that they do.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Very, very informative. And, obviously this was the lead in to them coming to the Salisbury Center to perform. So it was good to get to know them, familiar with the music. And obviously Jami was a new member of the band. So kind of getting to know him as part of that group, but it was a great interview. Coming
off of a Monsters of Rock cruise.
Yep.
Right. And then really kind of locally based and sticking around in Fredericksburg, and then, kind of adding this show into everything that they were doing around that Monsters of Rock cruise.
Yep.
Very cool. All right, Lou, did you agree or disagree with any of that? Is he gone?
No, I'm here.
All right. Good to hear you. Sound good.
Yeah, good to hear you. You guys are doing good. Sounding good as always.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I actually completely agree with you.
What?
I mean, those guys were,
That never
those guys were the.
There's a short, John. Grab that.
Yeah. Yeah, don't get used to it. But yeah, I thought they were cool, different, learned something new. They're, old school metal guys, so they were talking about stuff, that we grew up hearing about, that they experienced. It was cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. All right. We'll get to the next category then, since everybody's like happy in love and agreeing. All right. It's a stand up and shout show. Right? We're getting into the next category. We'll see how that stays around. The stand up and shout show heavy happenings of the year. So heavy happenings is our news category.
Yep.
And some events are more eventful than others. So these are, to me, big news items that were nominated and had a lasting impact and is going to like shape the flavor of 2024. And the nominees are
Lizzie Hale fronting Skid Row from our April 4th show.
That was bitchin'.
The news that, and I don't remember if this was the news that she was joining or after she had done a couple of the shows, but just the fact that she was stepping in for Eric Gronwall and taking over Skid Row for a few shows. And we're huge Hailstorm fans and fans of Lizzie. So
and fans of Skid Row.
And fans of Skid Row as well. Yeah. So that was, I would say, somewhat shocking that was the choice, at least to fill that interim role.
I don't think anybody expected it.
I know.
I heard like no, backstage information or, you know what I mean? Like leaks or any leaked information. Maybe that's what I was looking for as opposed to backstage. That was something like that was going to come around.
Yeah.
So it was very surprising.
They had just released a new album and Hailstorm was getting ready to tour. And, so they took a little detour for that. So that was, it was definitely shocking news, I would say.
Sure.
Or surprising news at the very least.
Sure.
Yep.
All right. Next nominee.
Gojira opens the Olympics on August the 9th. And now we kind of had heard about this.
Right.
But I think we were floored by the performance.
And also the performance being in the forefront. Like they didn't bury it like off on a side stage and say like, yeah, that's happening over there for the weird people.
Yeah. No, it was purely spotlighting them as a band and the song that they wrote, to speak to the French Revolution, which was
a major world event, not even a major French, event in French history, but a major world event because that revolution had so much impact on so many other parts of the world.
Yeah. And, blew my mind for sure.
Yeah.
And
it was extremely well done.
Yep. And has led to them being nominated for that performance and that song for a Grammy.
Yeah.
Hopefully they win.
Yeah.
Because I think they should.
Mm-hmm.
And
cool. All right.
And nominee number three, Aerosmith announces that they're retiring.
Same news day, August 9th. August 9th was a big day.
Yeah. And I mean, I would say that wasn't necessarily surprising news because with the issues that Steven Tyler was having with his voice,
Right.
the throat surgery and some of those things, but it appeared that they were coming back and they were going to pick up their farewell tour and to just cut it when they cut it. I think that was
so at least for, to me, good 20 years, Aerosmith was Aerosmith-esque in the way that they would bag out of something, come back together, bag out of something, come back together for whatever reasons, fighting in the band, substance issues, Steven Tyler's voice like a little bit later, but they would always come back. But I think the finality of this was what made it different in that, like, this is really going to be it.
Yep.
And maybe if you get lucky, we'll do a festival, but there's going to be no residencies. There's going to be no touring. Like the live performances really are done.
Yeah. And obviously we've talked about on previous shows, we're huge Aerosmith fans. So that one kind of hit pretty hard for us.
It did. It really did.
Yep.
All right.
Nominee number 4, the announcement of Dave Grohl's Love Child on the September 19th episode.
Yeah. I would say that this isn't so much about Dave Grohl's Love Child, but the effect of Dave Grohl's Love Child, because I don't know where the Foo Fighters are anymore. I don't know if they're disbanded. I don't know what kind of hiatus that they're on, but they are definitely on a big hiatus.
For sure.
You don't know like where they are in terms of producing new music or touring. That was speculative of us for the One or the Odds episode. Like, are they going to come back around again?
Right.
I am certainly hopeful that they are, but I think that's what makes this. I don't really care about the affair. I don't really care about that at all. I don't really care about his personal life in any kind of way. I just love the Foo Fighters. I want to see him playing some tunes again.
Yeah, no, I agree. His personal business is his personal business.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, people that are in that spotlight have to share all of that too often, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely disappointing that we may not see them perform again.
I know, it's heartbreaking.
Yep. And then 5th nominee, Perry Farrell's Punch.
We had 2
on September the 19th.
Positive nominees followed by like 3 heartbreaking nominees. But yeah, Perry Farrell's Punch, which again, like, he pops, oh my gosh, Dave Navarro.
Yeah.
So, that's one thing. They have a fight. That definitely happens. And it happens not only in Jane's Addiction, but with other bands. But it was the punch that ended Jane's Addiction. That's the way to that one.
The purse slap that ended it all.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, another sob story for the end of the year. All right. So out of those nominees, the winner, the big winner of Heavy Happening of the Year is like that. Yeah.
Aerosmith retires.
Aerosmith retiring on August 9th. Of all the stories that I think that had significant weight, because I think that like you hit the nail on the head there, Kevin. I just can't overemphasize the importance of Aerosmith on rock and roll in the United States.
Yep. Absolutely. And there's been a little bit of discussion about that, right, on our social feeds, because we asked the question on August 9th. It's like, are they the best American rock band?
Right.
And so a number of the folks that follow us have weighed in their opinion.
Yeah.
Some of them agreed, and there were other nominees that people were suggesting, but they're definitely in the top 3, if not I would say that them and Metallica.
Make a great future show. Like we said that back then that we're going to talk about it. We still can follow through on that. Who is the greatest American rock band?
Yep.
But we're going to be talking about Aerosmith in that way. And of course, I mean, tragically, we'll never see them again. And you and I come from a day and age where they toured all the time.
All the time. Yep.
I have seen Aerosmith at least 2 to 3 dozen times easily.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Sad.
I think Jeff Salisbury's still there. I know you're going to disagree with
I'm
this.
here. Actually, you're gonna find this crazy, but I agree.
What?
I was gonna go Perry Farrell, but
Buying lottery tickets.
like you guys, yeah. Aerosmith was just a big part, especially of our like late teens and early 20s.
Yeah.
I mean, all I can think about is, growing up and hearing, Dream On and all the classic stuff they started off with, got famous for, and then kind of they went away. And then just like our late teens and early 20s, it was like the soundtrack to our life at that time.
Sure.
I mean, all I can think about is going to Myrtle Beach and to the strip clubs, and that's when all the Alicia Silverstone video was out, and it was just all that. Us going to see Guns N' Roses opening for Aerosmith,
Yep.
like all that sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
that was definitely a bigger impact on me.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm glad you brought up the opener because to me, I always loved that about Aerosmith. They were not afraid to put a really strong opener in front of them.
Yep.
Some bands will shy away from that because they don't want to be upstaged. But Aerosmith always, I feel like a lot of those shows that we went to, we were just as much there to see the opening act as we were to see Aerosmith.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, even the Black Crows were,
it's
were
first time I saw
doing the
Black
opening
Crowes.
gig on the farewell tour. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, mark it in your calendars.
Right.
I agreed with you guys twice in one day.
And in a row, twice in a row. There wasn't even like, we have to wait a half hour or anything. Like it just happened back to back.
I guess we're going to see if we're going to hit the hat trick now.
Yeah, get buy your lottery tickets today.
No doubt.
Next up is the Stand Up and Shout Rock Doc of the Year.
Yeah,
so we all love a good rock doc.
New category. We did not talk about. There were so many great rock documentaries that came out this year that we had to talk. We had to add a category for it.
Yep. So
all right. So first nominee, Thank You, Good Night, the John Bon Jovi story of June 13th. Very revealing story about John Bon Jovi. I'm very surprised that he was so open about his vocal struggles as he was aging.
Yeah, and it obviously it was the spotlight on the band, but it was pretty much John and his story.
Yeah,
and certainly going back in time versus the current struggle he was having with the voice and all of that.
Sure. Nominee number 2, Lala, the story of Lollapalooza. Also on June 13th, we talked about 2 great rock docs. Midsummer. By the way, might not have been a good time to watch a rock doc, on June 13th in the middle of the summer because you had some outdoor activity, but you have a whole lot of winter indoor activity now. So you can catch these on a lot of different streaming services that are out there. I'm not sure where they've landed now. But I feel like in terms of Lala, the story of Lollapalooza, that first episode, speaking about the emergence of Lollapalooza, it's a 3-part series.
Yep.
That's in 1 hour a piece, so it's a short and easy documentary to watch. Yep. But just that one in itself was worth the price of admission.
Yep, and the John Bon Jovi one is still on Hulu. Mm-hmm. Lala is still on Paramount Plus. So they're all on where they were originally released, so you can still see them there. And yeah, it was great. I mean, and kind of covering, it was I thought Perry Farrell was great in that, because he founded it, he built it, and
Didn't
then
look so crazy,
and then stepped out.
Yeah.
And, looking back on it, I think a lot of people question Metallica being part of Lollapalooza, and he spoke to that and how his eyes got open to them as a band.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's a great watch. If you haven't seen it, go check it out.
Cool. Next nominee number 3, How Music Got Free. That is actually how the title is worded, so that's not a mispronunciation on my part. How Music Got Free on July 3rd. We spoke to that episode. Basically, the impact of Napster and how music was basically being fed into digital exchange in the late 1990s and early 2000s, and of course how that all changed the way we currently even still listen to music. Yep. It's a fantastic show.
That one's on Paramount still.
Paramount also. Here we go, Scott. We have you in our hearts and minds again with number 4, Hate to Love, Nickelback, that was out on July 3rd. So the Nickelback documentary, which turned out to be a way better documentary than what I was expecting.
Oh yeah, I was like, I got some time to kill. But yeah, it was excellent documentary.
Yeah, fantastic story.
Still on Netflix, so you haven't seen
it. The rise of rock stars, the rags to riches story. And the last one, Nothing But a Good Time, the uncensored story of the 80s, September 17th. So I've read the book. The book is much more extensive than the documentary. When I saw the documentary being announced, I was worried, that they weren't going to be able to do justice to all the stories and the good times that were in the book. But it was abbreviated. There's a lot of stuff that the book is better than the documentary for.
Right.
With that being said, if you just want to do the simple documentary, it's well worth it. They did all the right stuff. They were very efficient in the way they told the documentary story.
And some of the people they talked to, surprising that Brian Forsyth was interviewed for that.
Yeah.
So
admitted to doing crack.
Yes.
At the very end, at the whole that was a short right there. Like Brian Forsyth admission, like, I did crack. What was I thinking?
Right.
That was a great line. Yeah. All right, and the winner is
Lala, the story of Lollapalooza.
Yeah.
June 13th.
I was watching last night. Press Your Luck. You know, the little cheesy game show that's like on one of the big networks with Elizabeth Banks hosting. And they use the term like the Lala Prize, which is the whole prize package, like all the prizes rolled into one. And I'm like, damn, that Lollapalooza festival like is still like it's at least in the name is like still living in all of these weird and crazy places.
Yeah.
And like probably her being of our generation, you know, she probably attended a Lollapalooza somewhere.
I'm sure she did.
And remembered it, and now it's boom, and the Press Your Luck game show.
Yeah, that was a tough decision, but 5 great.
Oh, nothing wrong with either one.
But the story was good. Obviously, we lived through the 80s, so the Nothing But a Good Time. We knew most of all of that. We'd already, and like you said, you had read the book. So, but you know, the Lollapalooza festival that changed music in so many different ways.
Yes. And I went to that. I mean, so like, there's a little bit of nostalgia on my part. I wasn't on the judges panel, so like, this had a bias, you know. With that being said, and that is what people often ask me, what are your favorite live music experiences? That is at least in the top 3, very easily, if not number 1. That first Lollapalooza in that first episode just nails why and everything that was happening at the time perfectly. All right, our next one is Jeff Salisbury.
He's there. I got him on video now. You can see him.
I do see him. There you go, looking pretty there, brother.
I had him.
He froze. But he froze in the way, like the smile.
Great,
hey, fellas.
still.
It is. Like, you got him in a good moment. Then he left.
I am.
And he's gone.
Why you keep freezing me?
All right.
All right.
I'm here.
We don't know now. We're just shrugging it off. We're going to move to the next one. Next category.
Reel or short of the year.
All right. This is up John's alley. Thank you for all the great reels and shorts, my friend.
Yeah. So, first nominee, side stage. Really, it was kind of front stage when we cut it.
That's
Front stage at the M3 Rock Festival.
I'll clear that.
on May
because
the 12th.
There's 2 reels, right? So there's the front stage reel, and then there is a side stage reel of the Bret Michaels band performing. So like, this is specific. That's why I said side stage to the Bret Michaels. It's not you and I. I gave it to the
Okay. Yeah. So, thanks to our bud Pete Evick.
Yes.
You know, he pulled us up on the stage, so we got to watch Bret Michaels' performance from the side stage, which was a totally unique experience.
Sure.
For me, at least. And, you know, totally different way to watch that set, and was a great time.
Absolutely, man. That was a fun night in life. It's cold. Remember how cold it was? It wasn't as cold as now, but it was cold, like, for May.
Well, that tends to be the case at M3.
We were warm by then, though.
Yes.
Yeah, we were fine.
Yep.
Next nominee.
Lizzie brought it. May
brought it.
23rd. So that was definitely after we were able to catch a couple of her performances with Skid Row.
Yes.
And how she nailed some of those songs in a very surprising way, I would say.
Bitchin'. It was just a bitchin', you know, little segment of a tour. And I wish that it would have been close to us so we could have caught it.
Right.
Sucks that we missed it. That's the only bad side to it.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Aerosmith retiring on August 23rd.
Yep. Made that announcement through a reel.
That's right. Dirty Honey bets the Ponies. So that was that reel that we cut with them.
Yes.
So, and then last nominee, rock or metal for your Halloween playlist on October the 27th.
That turned out to be a popular reel. Like that, I was a little surprised by that, by the amount of hits and numbers that we got on that one. So
some good comments, and a lot of folks liking it, sharing it. So it had much more traction than I thought it was going to have.
Sure. And the winner is Lizzie Brought It on May 23rd. So you want to tell why? I'm sure you know, you and I are probably thinking the same thing. We got extra love for this reel.
No, go ahead.
So when we put it out there, of course, we tag the artists that we tag. And very surprisingly, I remember we put the reel out there, and it was kind of a late afternoon.
Yep.
And we saw we were getting a lot of numbers on it, which is always fun. That's great. That's great and fantastic. A lot of comments. We comment back. So please comment on this because we will talk to you back, of course.
Absolutely.
You know, in this conversation. And lo and behold, like we also follow these artists and we look on Lizzie Hale's wall and I see, of course, Kevin was the face and the cover of the reel. I'm like, Kevin, you're on Lizzie Hale's wall. Like that was my text of the morning at like 7 a.m. Yep. Like you were there.
Yeah. So she reshared the reel
yes.
on her Instagram page.
Yes.
And yeah, so you had told me, and then like a little bit later that same day, I'm on a call at work, and one of the guys I work with, who's kind of not really a big metal guy, but it turns out that when Hailstorm got first signed to their record deal at either that celebration or the record release party, his band was asked to open for them.
Okay.
So he followed Lizzie Hale.
Right.
And so he saw it and we're on this work call and he's like, why are you on Lizzie Hale's Instagram page? I'm like, well, you know.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Exactly. There were a lot of comments then like ensued from there, including Rachel Boland from Skid Row. Yep. He commented also. So
it was awesome.
It wasn't about the quantity. It was about the quality. You know, like we were appreciative of the appreciation that the artists specifically were showing in that reel. So I think the judging panel took that into account, and that's why this nominee won.
Absolutely.
So we still love that reel. So
thank you to the Academy.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, next category. We're starting to get into broader categories outside of the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show and talk about some of the music that we have loved over and live performances that we have loved over the 2024 year. So
absolutely.
We're going to start with Stand Up and Shout Show Hard Rock / Metal Album of the Year. A lot of great albums. These are just simply the nominees. If we don't have your favorite on this list, feel free to complain about it in social media.
That's right.
All right.
Tell us you don't like it.
And the nominees are The Black Crowes, Happiness Bastards, Pearl Jam, Dark Matter, Jack White, No Name, Miles Kennedy, The Art of Letting Go, Judas Priest, Invisible Shield, Jerry Cantrell, I Want Blood, Category 7. You got any comments about these albums, Kevin, before we reveal the winner?
Well, they're definitely all great. You know, we had a little conversation. We haven't really talked about Category 7.
No, we haven't.
Although
that's what I figured you want to
mention that. So this is a new supergroup band. Mm-hmm. So, and it's John Bush is the lead singer from Armored Saint, who we love, is in that band. Phil Demmel is guitar, and Jason Bittner from Overkill, who plays drums.
Sure.
And it's just a great thrash album. Yeah. And John Bush, you know,
he sounds amazing.
He sounds amazing. Yeah. Just a phenomenal singer. We got to see them headline at Tally Ho this year. Great show.
Yeah.
And I was always a huge fan. I wasn't as interested in Armored Saint until John joined Anthrax.
Yes, yeah.
And the Sound of White Noise album, I was like, this guy has got a voice.
Yes.
And then I kind of went back.
Yeah.
You know, our buddy Damon was way more into Armored Saint long before we were.
He was devotee, way before his time.
But yeah, at about the same time he left to join Anthrax, Armored Saint had released the Symbol of Salvation album. And that was when I was at Woo It, and I love that album. So I kind of knew about him then, but you know, once Sound of White Noise came out, I went back and got into all the really old Armored Saint stuff. So it's a great thrash album. The other one, you know, Jerry Cantrell, that one just came out not too long ago. I Want Blood.
Yep.
You know, I don't know why it's not an Alice in Chains album, because every song sounds like Alice in Chains.
Sure.
So it's like, okay.
Yeah. All right. The winner is the Black Crowes, Happiness Bastards. So I shut up because I'm totally in love with this album. Like when I was reading off the nominees, and I just like let that ride, because I know I could have stopped here and probably would have revealed the winner. I had maybe a strong influence on the panel, like in making this selection. I think that this Black Crowes album, it really kind of falls in with their first albums, you know, and it's amazing to me that they've done it this late in their career where they've produced an album this strong with a lot of really strong songs on it that sound like traditional Southern rock, traditional Southern hard rock that the Black Crowes do so well. So, you know, I go all the way back to Amorica, Southern Harmony Musical Maker, and of course, Shake Your Money Maker. Like it falls in the vein of those three albums. This to me could have followed Amorica, and it would have fallen like right in line. They've had a lot of albums that come out in the time in between, but Happiness Bastards, I've been listening to again and again and again all year long.
Yeah.
It's on a regular rotation for me.
Yeah, and I was a bit torn between, this is a great album, one of my favorites of the year, and probably almost in lockstep. Category 7, like I said, is a great album, but the Pearl Jam album, you know, those two were great, you know, releases this year. So, and we talked about it before the show. What I found interesting, because Rolling Stone just released their top 100. This is albums, just flat out albums of the year.
What they would call rock albums.
Well, you know, and it's heavy pop, and there's R&B, and there's hip hop and country.
Yeah.
And what was shocking to me is that neither the Black Crowes or Pearl Jam were picked as one of the top 100 albums of the year.
And you and I were talking about that before we were, you know, in the studio here today. Like, right, and I'm with you. I totally agree, because especially with Pearl Jam, because they're a darling of Rolling Stone magazine.
Yep.
They've always treated them extremely well. And this is a good album. It's not like it's a crappy album that you don't want to listen to. So,
and of all
stunned by that.
of all the 100 albums that were on their list, we didn't even talk about one of them. It's Kerry King's solo release. From Hell I Rise is actually number 84 on that list. I was like, it's a great album, but
for Rolling Stone specifically, like you guys put that on there.
Yeah, so that was that. Both all of the three things were shocking to me.
Sure,
with the Rolling Stone list.
Sure. All right. Well, either way, we picked the right album, and we have the right nominees.
Absolutely.
So take that, Rolling Stone.
For sure.
Right.
Next category, Stand Up and Shout, Hard Rock Metal Song of the Year. So we had a conversation a little while back.
This is always tough. Songs are so damn tough.
Well, and you know, how do we consume the music? You know, we grew up in a day where it was, you know, heading down to Waxy Maxie's and you know, the local record store, and we're getting the album. We consumed music by the album. And in this day and age, I would say it's probably more so songs.
You
know, people are downloading it, or they're on a streaming service, and you know, they have a bunch of songs, and you know,
I want to hear some Black Crowes, and then you just hit the Black Crowes, and then one song comes on, then your attention can be fleeting. You may not want to trudge through the whole album, so
flip to the next song.
Exactly.
So we got a list of the best hard rock metal songs of the year.
And it's an abbreviated list. Again, if you want to complain about it, please do so on social media.
Absolutely.
All right. The nominees are
Pearl Jam, Dark Matter.
All right. Yes.
Linkin Park, Heavy is the Crown.
That's the new release with Emily Armstrong.
Yeah. A lot of opinions about that.
Yeah, I know. Divisive opinions.
Yes, very much so.
It's almost like politics.
That's why we won't get into it. Hailstorm and I Prevail. Can you see me in the dark?
Yes.
Miles Kennedy, Say What You Will.
Yeah, that's a rockin', bitchin', hard rock song.
Looking forward to that show.
You know, like he took a different direction in the album that we were talking about the album releases, but of course this song, I mean, it is very heavy for Miles. Good to see.
Kings of Leon, Mustang.
Yeah.
The Black Crowes, Waiting and Waiting.
Wanting and Waiting.
Oh, Wanting and Waiting. Glasses. And category 7, In Stitches, which is the first release off of that album we talked about just a bit ago.
In that list, probably what's the most out of the box, you know, for us is the Kings of Leon with Mustang. It's because it's probably I don't want to say softer, but it's a little more maybe, you know, relaxed pace of, you know, more of aggressive like hard rock song. But to me, I always say like I love the Kings of Leon because of that. To me is where Southern rock meets alt rock. And so it's an interesting blend of what they do. And Mustang is a good song. It's an up-paced song. It's not necessarily like a slow song or anything like that. So, all right. And the winner is
Pearl Jam.
Pearl Jam.
Dark Matter.
Just a bitchin', up-paced, aggressive Pearl Jam tune.
Yeah. little bit heavier than a lot of their more recent stuff that's come out.
So like you remember the conversation that we had, and we did a what are the odds? Because Mike McCready made an announcement at the beginning of the year that this Pearl Jam album and these Pearl Jam songs were going to be more guitar oriented and rock and up-paced and heavy than ever.
Yep.
You think they lived up to that?
I would think so.
Yeah, I do too.
I was pleasantly surprised because you always hear that.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, our next album's going to be so much heavier than.
Right.
And it's like, no.
Right. Right.
It was not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
I know. And Pearl Jam, I mean, they're an aging act, so people tend to relax a little bit maybe with age as a stereotype. I don't know, but they didn't in this one. It was a good rock album. Good rock song. All right, on to the next category.
Live show of the year.
This is what the Stand Up and Rock show is all about.
Absolutely.
So we save these categories to the very end. These are a grand finale categories because it's all about the live show. And by the way, when we say live show of the year, we have them in two segments. We have them at the Salisbury Center and then outside of the Salisbury Center. So we're going to talk about the live shows at the Salisbury Center first. And we'll kick off with a traditional nominee. There's a lot of nominees in this category. I think I'm looking at 8 of them. With what always tends to happen, I think it's happened every year since the Salisbury Center's been open. Evic's New Year after New Year, which happened, and we have the month in January because we're referring to the show, so we don't have necessarily a specific segment.
Right.
We're just referring back to the memory of the show. It's a great reason to get you at the Salisbury Center if you live nearby and you want to see some of these types of shows. So Evic always puts on a very strong show, and that, of course, is Pete Evic. Gavin Evic does as well, but, you know, Pete does. He's kind of he kicks off, to me, the battery of Salisbury Center events in a very, very strong way.
Yep, and it's coming up, the 2025 version on January the 4th.
Yeah, it is literally right after New Year's.
Yep, Saturday night, January the 4th. And I saw a little post on Facebook that they're working on some new tunes.
Yes, I saw that too.
Be interesting to see if we hear a new Evic tune at that show.
All right, Age of Ruin, which is a regular act here. I'd say they've played here half a dozen times over the year. This was the Sunday Ruined show in February, which I thought was very clever, you know, to call it. And that was one of the first Sunday shows that we've had here at the Salisbury Center.
Yep.
I think we also were able to interview then Cursor and Knuckleheads on the same night.
Yep.
But, you know, that was a great headlining show for that band. Spread Eagle in March. So another band that we spoke of earlier that they won our interview of the year.
Yep.
Yep. But they also not only made a great interview, but they put on a damn good show here.
Awesome show.
In March.
Yep.
The Gavin Evic Acoustic Show in May. So that was, he's not here tonight. We talked to him briefly for a little bit, but that's Jeff Salisbury's birthday show. Gavin Evic took a different approach in opening that show by performing acoustically, which we've never seen from the Gavin Evic band.
Gavin and Chuck.
Yes, that was very strong. Yes, that was right. It was Chuck Fanslow from Pete Evic's band. Trickster Acoustic, another acoustic portion of that show in May. So that's
sort
a
of
headline.
Acoustic.
Sort of acoustic. Yes, kind of plugged in and a little bit louder than acoustic, but made some acoustic appearances. Oh man, this is very strong. Days of 5 in August for Localpalooza. Always a strong set when, wait a minute, hold on. I got to get the sticker. I got to hold it up to the camera. Right when Days of 5 makes the appearance. You know, this place just turns into a different venue then.
That's right.
So shout out and much love to the Days of 5 band. The Knuckleheads, again, at that Localpalooza show. Opening for our final nominee, which is Black Flag at the Localpalooza show. So Knuckleheads... being a very young band, just out of high school band, opening up for a legendary band. I don't know, maybe they were too young to not feel pressured by that, or maybe they felt like a lot of pressure. Either way, they handled it amazingly well. I mean, it was, of course, just bitching upon bitching to have Black Flag here in August. All right, so that's our list. And again, if you missed anything, complain about it on social media. But until then, the winner is...
Wait a second.
I love that. So we just saw a flash of the band Days of 5 slinking in to steal. It's still flashing from Spread Eagle. The judges are struggling with this. They're definitely struggling with the spinning process.
Who got into the envelope?
By a nose. Spread Eagle
Been
takes
working so hard behind here trying to get that done over there. Then I spelled it wrong. It's been in process.
I love you for it, brother. I love you.
That was awesome.
Yes. Man, Spread Eagle was a bitchin' show.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
For, having that first album that they released, playing it at the radio station and stuff.
Yep.
When we were at Tech. And, to get to meet those guys and experience, their version of New York street metal.
Yep.
It's a great show.
I also love they covered, which Days of Five does this too. They covered Don't Change by NXS. And they did a great cover. I was shocked to see that come from those guys.
And it would be great.
A gritty version of that song.
Yeah. And, unfortunately, it wasn't a huge crowd.
Yeah.
But it was a great show. And they were happy still.
Yeah.
And they loved the venue.
Yeah.
They love being on our show.
Yeah.
And, so hopefully we can get them to come back and get more of a crowd out here to see them.
Completely worth it. We can't sell those guys up enough.
Nope.
Yep. Great crew. Okay. So we saw Spread Eagle. We could possibly see Spread Eagle outside of the Salisbury Center. We did not. We saw them inside the Salisbury Center.
That is true.
But we go to our next category, which is our biggest category. Now, we're going to be specific to this. So these are live show of the year of 2024 outside of the Salisbury, and these are shows that both you and I saw.
Correct.
Right. So
because I can't keep up with you.
Yeah,
sometimes.
I was going to say, I feel like we've both been to places that neither one of us has been, but we can't speak to that.
Nope.
Only things that the judging panel can speak to.
Agreed.
All right. So a long list. I'm going to let you want to take half the list? I'll take the other half.
That's fine.
All
yeah.
right, go ahead.
So Zach Sabbath on January, we hit it pretty hard coming out of the gate at the beginning of the year.
That was a bitchin' way to start the year.
Because you also could include in that the Native Howl.
I know. Yeah, I know.
And
That's a very good.
They were the opening act for Zach.
I bet you my girlfriend is just pissed right now that you just revealed I did not include the Native Howl.
Sorry, Ash.
Uh-huh.
And then Living Color in February. That was at the Charlestown Raceway.
You'll never see a bad Living Color show. Ever.
Absolutely not.
Never.
Well, I guess that also could include the Tally Ho,
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't at that show.
Mm-hmm.
I was at the Charlestown show.
All right.
Followed by the headliner that night, Extreme,
Yeah.
February. And we talked before the show, we had tickets to see them a couple different times at M3 and things happened. And
blew his knee playing basketball one of those times.
Soft.
COVID before that.
Yeah.
Great double bill, though, Living Color and Extreme.
Yep. And then April, we had the pleasure of seeing Armored Saint again.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about that
John
a little
Bush. There's
briefly
John Bush.
earlier.
Yep.
Which was at the Tally Ho. And it was just a phenomenal show. We had seen them open for Wasp there the year before, but they got the headline, so we got a longer
Got a
set.
lot more Armored Saint.
Yeah.
We got some deep tracks on that show, too.
Yep.
Yeah, it was cool.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Then in May, at the M3 Rock Festival,
Rat and Roll.
Rat and Roll, baby. And we
it was
got
really Stephen Piercy,
yep,
but he played all of Out of the Cellar.
Out of the Cellar for the
Its
40th
entirety.
anniversary
Yep.
in its entirety,
Mm-hmm.
not in track order with the exception of one song.
Yes, exactly.
But it was more or less in track order except for the one
round
song.
and round. You have to end it all in round and round.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then Faster Pussycat again at the M3 Rock
M3
Festival.
Rock Festival. M3 Rock Festival was strong. It was almost hard to reduce the amount of bands. We could list the whole
It was
M3
great.
Rock Festival. It was a great year for that,
Yep.
that festival. So speaking of which, so I'm taking the second part of the list, which is the Bret Michaels Band, also part of that May M3 Rock Festival. It definitely helped that we were side stage. Thank you to Pete Evick
Yep, thank
for bringing us up there and seeing that, very, very upfront and personal. And Dee Snider being a part of that too made that just a truck ton of fun. First try in May, little first try, like makes the list this year. You were at that show.
Oh, I was at that show.
That was at the pool party in Mantua. The Mantua pool opening. First try brought it hard and
that's
heavy.
great.
Yeah. All right. So
No Native Howl, but first try. Imagine that.
Of course. Absolutely. The first try makes that cut this year. Gotta love it.
All right.
All right. Lita Ford at the Tally Ho in June.
Yep.
Lita's still bringing it hard and heavy. That was a good show. Shock Mafia. So we finally got to see a Shock Mafia show. That was the one time they played last year.
Yep. Jam and Java in Vienna.
So, locally, that local act, coming from Egypt and 24/7 Spies, not necessarily locally, but at least an East Coast act.
Yep.
That was Jeff Broadnax. And of course, we mentioned John Durant's of that band.
Yes.
Great guys, strong music, good original music. Buck Cherry in September, also up. We saw some strong shows at Charlestown Races and Slots.
We did this year.
Right. Live in Color in February, Extreme in February, Buck Cherry in September. And then finally, our last nominee, Dirty Honey in October at that same venue. So cheers to you, Charlestown Races and Slots, for bringing some great rock shows into the casino.
Yeah. And there were a couple that we didn't get to make it to. Ace Frehley played there.
Yep.
Queensryche, who we saw at M3, they also played there recently.
Yeah.
So whoever's booking there, they're getting some good bands.
Yeah, absolutely. So the winner of our final category of the night, and the most important category of the night, live rock show of the year, goes to...
Can you believe it?
The judges were really debating this in a heated way, but of course from the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show, you have...
Dirty Honey.
Yeah, of course you got Dirty Honey.
Come on.
Right, because we cannot get enough of that band.
We cannot. And if you haven't gotten on the bus, it's time to get on the bus.
I'm going to give a nod to Extreme.
Yes.
So that was the debate, because you and I both loved both shows, and it was a long time since we've seen Extreme, but maybe there was some lingering anger about their cancellations. I don't know. But it was a fantastic.
That was awesome.
I
Nuno and Gary the whole band still brings it, but
close to 2 hours.
Yeah.
They performed.
Yeah.
And we saw a 50-year-old dude cry during More Than Words.
More Than Words.
He was brought to tears in More Than Words, which was stunning. But then Dirty Honey, to give them the nod and how they were able to top that, as they're just such an amazing live performance.
So awesome.
To me, it's like the Scorpions that have that ability to sound like a studio act when they're performing all live, and there's obviously no backing tracks.
Right.
There's no fills or add-ins. They are doing everything up front and center.
Well, and just the band as a whole is phenomenal, but Mark LaBelle's vocals, and I never noticed it. Maybe it was because we've always been a little bit further back from the stage when we've been to shows there.
Yeah.
But we were kind of dead center, very close to the stage.
Yeah.
And the PA there was not great from that position.
Yes.
But you got to hear and
him.
feel the power in his voice.
Yeah.
Which was
unamplified.
Phenomenal.
You're hearing him without the amplification.
Yep.
Yeah, which was bitchin'.
Very cool.
Yeah. All right, so congratulations to all of the nominees and to all the winners and to the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show. And thank you for our regular listeners and our regular watchers and those that, just dive in when you want to dive in, or just watch the reels, or just say, hey, I saw you in that. And thank you for another great year. Cheers and love to you, John, for all of your work, because this is all you this year.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for the opportunity. We had a couple of people in the chat I sent you a screenshot of. Oh. Someone was asking for a Kicksmith reunion tour at Salisbury Center.
Oh, man, I love that idea.
I'm sure you would love that.
Love that idea.
Mr. Salisbury would love that as well.
Uh-huh.
And shout out to Mr. Salisbury. I mean, he's the one that makes all this possible for us and gives us the platform and the opportunity. And looking forward to see what 2025 brings us.
We absolutely love you, Lou.
Oh, and one of our fans is wanting to know when the Christmas-themed episode will occur, and we may have to talk to the executive producers about that.
The executive producer,
the Bah Humbug producer, may not want to do a Christmas episode, whereas the real boss definitely wants to do a Christmas episode.
Yes, absolutely.
But while we're talking about Christmas, now's the time. We talked about at the beginning of the show. Shop standupandshout.com.
You can look that good.
Your own t-shirt.
Yeah. I mean, who wouldn't want that for the holidays? I'm going to wear mine.
Yep.
Yeah. You got Christmas colors on that. You got some red.
There is red.
Yeah, you got red on that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
great stocking stuffers. The beanies be great for stockings.
Absolutely.
Lots of great things on there.
Yep. Shop standupandshout.com. Shop standupandshout.com.
Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Happy 2024.
Woo-woo!